How did federal agents recover Bitcoin and access a crypto wallet tied to the Colonial Pipeline cyberattack? By Mark de Cambrai. June 8, 2021, 4:11 p.m. Eastern Time. U.S. federal authorities are fairly tight-lipped on the method of recovering some $2.3 million in Bitcoin paid to cyber hackers of Colonial Pipeline Cos last month. It is a rare, but not unprecedented, win for agents who are part of a newly formed ransomware and digital extortion task force. But the big question for crypto market participants may be how the government tactically tracked down the Bitcoin allegedly obtained by the Eastern European hacking group known as DarkSide, and how the federal agents obtained access to a password-protected wallet. The U.S. Justice Department on Monday said in a news conference that it seized about 64 Bitcoin paid by Colonial to hackers, valued at roughly $2.3 million, from a virtual wallet. Here's what we know through court documents and conversations with those familiar with tactics that may have been employed by the Justice Department and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. An unidentified special agent with the FBI Cybercrime Squad, in an affidavit with the California's Northern District, requesting a warrant to seize the digital assets, says that the agency used public blockchain explorers to track payments made to the hackers. Blockchain explorers have been described succinctly as the Google of cryptocurrencies and blockchain, and they allow users to find details related to transactions on specific wallet addresses and blockchains, including amounts transacted, sources and destination of funds, and status of the transactions. In this case, the FBI was able to track the addresses where roughly 75 bitcoins were sent to hackers around May 8, court documents show. The documents indicate that Colonial Pipeline had reached out to the FBI in early May to advise the agency that it had been instructed to send a ransom payment of approximately 75 Bitcoin, calculated at the time to be worth $4.3 million, to a specific address that was partly redacted in court filings. A blog post by Dr. Tom Robinson of blockchain analytics firm Elliptic identified the Bitcoin address tied to the Colonial hack as address BC1QQ2UK8PW950COI4UE39YM43HS6CFSEG, probably the same one mentioned in the seizure affidavit. Ransomware attacks are those that compel the victim to pay a sum to a specific location to resolve a breach of a company's computer systems, and increasingly hackers are demanding crypto in exchange for ending their attack. The filings show that the FBI agent used blockchain explorers to track the movement of the crypto to nearly 24 addresses. A private key for a virtual wallet linked to one of the addresses, where the cryptocurrency sat for some time, was obtained by the FBI, but the agency didn't disclose how it obtained the key, which serves as a password for the wallet. A crypto wallet can be used to store Bitcoin, user addresses, and other private key information. Advocates of blockchain technology have long touted the traceability of the distributed public ledger as one counterpoint to those who say crypto is largely used for illicit activities. This action by U.S. authorities demonstrates the value of blockchain analytics to track down proceeds of crime in cryptocurrency and ensure that ransomware does not pay for the criminals behind it, Robinson wrote. That said, cracking a crypto wallet is usually the remit of hackers and not the FBI. National Public Radio speculated on 3 possible ways federal agents obtained DarkSide's private key. Carelessness by the perpetrator, help from an insider at the ransomware group, possible help from a wallet provider or exchange. What is being dismissed is the idea that the Fed somehow employed their own hacking methods to obtain the private key. On Tuesday, Colonial Pipeline Company CEO Joseph Blunt said the company was still working to fully restore.
Sometimes we just let the automated lady just say whatever she needs to say. Hey, everybody. Anita back rub. That's cute. Okay. So I wanted to sit here, I wanted to just do like an update to my video from yesterday. Mostly because there's been like this outstanding question, honestly, in regards to the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack. The question really was, how in the heck did the FBI manage to get a private key to somebody's crypto wallet? that's the thing that has people like, what? Because that's in regards to cryptocurrency, that's never supposed to be able to happen. That's one of the beauties of cryptocurrency is that it there is no break between you and your wallet. So in when I heard this today and I, was listening to the news and I heard them even yesterday when I heard about how the FBI was able to seize the remaining Bitcoins or the Bitcoins that were moved over to that wallet, I know I sat here and I told you guys there's only a few ways they could have did that. They had to have had the private key, which is like a password to your wallet. Something people remember. They don't typically write it down. It's just as important as your social security number in regards to crypto. It's probably the most important thing you'll ever do is memorize your private key. But then we're sitting here and it's like, okay, we know that we can trace transactions. It's not a question of where the money went to. It is never a question of where the money went to when it comes to Bitcoin because everything's written on the blockchain. It's like this huge Excel spreadsheet. Maybe not Excel specifically, but it's like a huge spreadsheet that just logs these transactions in the global spreadsheet. And this network is spread across multiple millions and millions of machines and computers that are doing the processing work. Because as the blockchain gets written to, more crypto is allowable. And unless you like really study like the technicals behind cryptocurrency, you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. But if you want to know some really good stuff, go check out Richard Hart on YouTube. He's got some really, I mean, I would just recommend him just because he's an OG pretty much. And he's been, I mean, just he spends time talking about this stuff. Now there was this ransomware attack, and maybe I should even say this, like this ransomware attack that happened was essentially this group called DarkSide, this hacking group. We don't know where they're based, but I hear China. But this hacking group and Russia, we've got big factions in both places. Russia's actually a little bit more dangerous because we found out with the ransomware from the technical specifics that they have written like on their script that if the language is localized, and listen up techies, this is what they wrote in their script, in their exe. If the native language of the computer is Russian, stop. Stop everything you're doing. Do not move forward. Don't go any further. Stop everything you're doing. What that means is basically they don't want to infect any Russian-based machines or machines in Russia with this particular malware because they don't want to harm themselves. But if this computer is in any other language and those settings are configured, I know y'all may not think much about that when you open up your computer or whatnot, but those are actually localized configured settings that are on every single computer. It has to have a language set on it. And so that was a very interesting technical aspect to this particular ransomware, which has been very, very interesting. Now, here's the thing about ransomware. Before we start looking at the blockchain and looking at the wallet that took the 75 Bitcoin, or 69, right? It was 69 Bitcoin, a little over $2 million. What was it worth a month ago before Elon Musk started tweeting shit? Bitcoin had hit a peak of 64K. And it is down over 50%. And no, it is not an investment. It is, like I've said before, if you're going to go buy yourself a Chanel bag or go buy yourself a Coach or whatever the cost is for that, that would be the type of money you would put into crypto. You would never pull your 401k. You would never pull money out your IRA. You would never get money out of your savings either. This is strictly money that you can absolutely If it gets lost, if you lose it, you're going to be okay. That's the type of money you put into crypto. But we always have that type of money, right? Coffee money. Go get a cup of coffee every day. What do you know? But there's these attacks that are going on. They call them ransomware attacks. And the reason why they call them ransomware attacks is because you're literally taking the computer ransom. Literally. So I'm going to lock your computer up until you send me 65 Bitcoin. That's your price. And if you wait any longer, 12 hours from now, it's going to double. This group is so sophisticated. So I was looking at the details of this DarkSide, this DarkSide group. And it was like, wow. Um, I know, right? They did. They low-key salty. They took that money right back. But this is the question that comes from that. Like, how? How? What do you mean that there's only one way that they would have got that money out of that wallet? And that was to have the password to the wallet, the private key. Password, aka private key, aka password, aka private key. So that's why in today's update in Market Insider, and apparently the NPR this morning, they speculated on 3 possible ways federal agents obtained this particular private key. One, it would have had to have been carelessness by the perpetrator, meaning DarkSide. Or 2, they would have had an insider at DarkSide, at the ransomware group, whoever these group of hackers are, or the actual wallet provider, whoever is creating the wallets, decided to compromise their security policies and give the FBI a private key to a wallet that had to have been online. There's no way this was a hard wallet. If this was a hard wallet, it wouldn't have been online and accessible for them to take the money back in the first place. The transaction would have never even went through. So it had to have been an online wallet. Or worst case, on an exchange somewhere type wallet. And I mean, surely if you even had 1 Bitcoin, you're not letting your money sit on no damn exchange. Hell, you might as well go to the exchanger that turns, USD into what the hell? What's the name of another currency? What are they? Bot? Philippines make, or that's bot, right? You might as well, go ask for $300 USD worth of like the Filipino currency and just leave your money there and walk away. Because that's basically what you're doing when you leave your money on an exchange. Never, never do that. Now, I see some people, they're about to start really running into this cryptocurrency and being curious in how that they can have a hand in this. And your first stop for any purchase, I would recommend this to a newbie, would be Coinbase, coinbase.com. And then you're going to have coindesk.com, which will be your go-to news. Then you're also going to need Market Insider to kind of keep up with Bitcoin has spawned off entire career paths. Now, let's just kind of like dig in a little bit because it's fun. How did they do this? How did the FBI manage to get this Bitcoin back in the first place? Again, it had to have been someone that had the password, and it's scary. I know it's scary that the Colonial Pipeline was hacked. Basically, they put a software on, and this software essentially installed itself and created all these malformed files. There's all these things that this malware does, and then but the most important thing is it encrypts your files. And it creates processes that seem to be valid processes and stuff. So and there's a strategy to it. Like in the code, it actually says, again, like if the local language is Russian, back it, don't go any further. There's all these things. If there is antivirus installed on the machine, don't go further, because they don't even want to tip the antivirus off or any anti-malware scanners. It's actually looking for this stuff before it makes a decision to install. It's like a checkbox. Does it have this? No. Does it have this? No. Does it have this? Yes. Okay, you must stop. or if it had this, no, then you can continue. It's like a decision, and you can tell that it's like been over time that this has evolved. Now, we can actually look at this wallet. We can see every single transaction that this wallet has made. That's the thing about Bitcoin. Bitcoin, every single transaction is written to the blockchain, and this blockchain is searchable. You can search it. Go to blockchain.com. And again, it's never been a question of what wallet had the money. I don't even know why they redacted it in the PDF. They had, it looks like it was a, here, let me show y'all this first. It looks like they had a warrant, U.S. District Court, Northern District of California. An application by a federal law enforcement officer or an attorney for the government requests that certain property located in the Northern District of California be seized as being subject to forfeiture to the United States of America. Approximately 63.7 BTC, the subject's funds, accessible from the following cryptocurrency address, and then it gives the address, but again, this address is public. Like, it's no secret. It would never be a secret to anybody what wallet the money went to. But I find it interesting that Northern California was the location, right? The seizure warrant, one count for investigation of 18 USC section 981A, 1A, and other offenses. So they're seizing property subject to forfeiture somewhere in California. Judge Laurel Beeler signed this. An officer present during the execution of the warrant must prepare, as required by law, an inventory of any property seized, and the officer executing the warrant must promptly return this warrant and a copy of inventory too. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter if this wallet's in California or Thailand. They don't have to physically be in California. They just need access to the internet, right? So maybe there's some sort of like assets that DarkSide owns in Northern California, because I'm starting to like hear rumblings that the feds have been actually seizing DarkSide's assets, and that they've been shut down over the last 24 hours. We talked about them yesterday in great detail as far as their attack and what their attack surface is and how they come in for the attack. And then they'll turn around and encrypt your files. They'll put a damn password on it. And then they'll say, give me $30 million. And the scary thing about their software is you have to stay connected to their network to even decrypt the files as it goes through this process. It's so scary. And they're actually even advertising and even looking for people they have two roles they're, what do you call it? Recruiting for. They're recruiting for what do they call it? Networks and what was the other? It was networks. And I think it was people, like they wanted people to donate their computers. And the reason why is because the more computers you have, the quicker that it can do its process. So if you have, you know, a million processes that must be cycled through, and you only have one computer to do that, you'll make things go by 10 times faster. If you add 9 more and just make a total of 10 computers, you'll get it done 10 times faster. If you add 10 more computers, you'll get it done 20 times faster. And the more computers you buy or add into this network pool, the quicker this process will work or run or decompress or de-encrypt. And it's so messed up because in their little ransom letter that they send to the victims whenever they initiate one of their crimes or whatnot of ransomware, they're actually customizing what's provided to the victim so it could be like a customized ransom letter. It's crazy. And it's, of course, pulling information out of the machine to do that. But if you are like into like operating system type stuff, it's just crazy. It sounds like they've probably been doing this for so many years and they've just really gotten good at it. I mean, damn, they basically are applying a template to their crimes, their ransomware crimes. But here's the wallet. And again, if you ever want to look at any wallet, whatever the wallet's doing, whatever funds it's received or sent, all you got to do is just go to blockchain.com. And we can see that this particular wallet has only did 3 transactions on the blockchain. It has received a total of 75.5 Bitcoin, which is approx 2.5 million, and has sent a total of 75.508 Bitcoin, same amount. The current value of this address is 0.0000 Bitcoin. Damn. I mean, the FBI just, it's crazy to me. They were able to literally, it's scary because it's not supposed to be that way. When Bitcoin was written out, like the whole point of it is to be like this fair use, fair trust type system. So you don't have a need for FBI to be getting in your business. Like if people don't realize that 2008, the housing crisis in 2008 attributed to the growth of Bitcoin also, because people were mad at mortgage, at banks especially, but all these mortgages. Remember when people's houses were getting foreclosed on and the banks were, it was just a big mortgage mess. All those bad loans and those 80-20 type loans that people were getting. And then of course it all was based on the market. And as the market got worse, their mortgages would get jacked up. And so that was a feeding frenzy. Bitcoin already existed at that point, but it most definitely went into hyperdrive around that time. And it was kind of interesting because then, you could get a Bitcoin. Wow, my Bitcoin's worth $800. My Bitcoin's worth $1,000. But this is, how you can actually check a wallet. And there's always going to be a little fee attached, right? And BTC just means, it's just the acronym for Bitcoin. But it tells you, and these are clickable links where you can even continue to work your way down the blockchain. Just work your way down, and you can look at each transaction. And what this is saying here is it's showing you how much was sent, how many bytes it took to do so. But isn't this crazy? Look at all these different transactions. It's like they were testing the wallet, almost as if they were making sure they could send money to the wallet. It sort of makes me wonder if when the feds moved this money over, were they even able to access the wallet even then? Because the way that like this wallet just looks, you could just see like several transactions happening on the blockchain on the same day. Look at that. Same day. Look at the time, 22:01. This wallet was created on February 28th of this year. Received its first transaction, I should say. And word myself correctly there. And what that means is, you know, this 21, and it's cool because if you click that, it'll do it in dollars. But $21.28 was added in BTC, aka Bitcoin. I mean, you could literally click these and work your way down the chain. But I just find this interesting. All these different transactions that are done, like 122,000, 2,000,000, 47,000, 15,000, $5.15. It just sort of kind of looks like maybe they were trying to maybe access the wallet and couldn't. And see, this is where the exchanges make money. Look at that fee. So it costs resources. It costs money to use Bitcoin. And the you know, if the network is busy, I should say the busier the network, the more fees you're going to pay to get your transaction through. And this is why like coins like Litecoin have spinned off or been spun off, you know, all these other different type of alt currencies, because maybe Bitcoin doesn't do something so well. Like speed is not really a great factor when it comes to Bitcoin. And you know, but let's make Litecoin and we'll make sure that speed is excellent. And of course, Litecoin is pretty fast, but it also has downsides. So it's like Litecoin, Ethereum, they're all like these orphan forked off versions of the original Bitcoin blockchain with capability added, like a layer of code added on top, you know, like icing on a cake almost. But yeah, I think a lot of people around the world are probably just as shocked as I am to even know that I mean, we all know, those of us who like really get deep into this stuff, we know that there's only one way the FBI could have possibly recovered this money, and it would have had to have been they had access to the wallet from the very get-go. Did they, or they got the private key from DarkSide themselves, and DarkSide was the one trying to take the money. So I'm not sure, or some kind of carelessness, something happened, because that's like you coming to me and saying, hey, you know, hand me your wallet, and then you take all the money out and give me my wallet back. That's, you know, people, that's like robbing me. And I don't know of any type of seizure like this either. It's pretty crazy. Hold on just a second. So this company named Elliptics Analysis talked about DarkSide. I guess, of course, they're touting their transaction screening software. And they're actually looking, their software screens deposits that are done on the blockchain for links to this high profile incident. So basically, they're doing a comparison of the blockchain. They got a copy of the blockchain, and they're literally comparing the transaction numbers. And if it's in any way associated to these transaction numbers, then boom, you're linked to this high profile incident. You know, it's just code. Let's look at some of their analysis, though. Some of their analysis is really interesting. Hey, Centel, look at some of their analysis. Okay. So the wallet received 75 BTC payment worth 4.4 million at the time of the transaction. which was done by Colonial Pipeline on May 8th. Although the wallet actually says May 27th at 11:01 p.m. So I'm going to go with what the wallet says. That's what I'm going to go with because I know that's the most legit, but whatever. Some of these payments, so the wallet's been active since March 4th, 2021. It has received 57 payments from 21 other wallets. Some of these payments directly match ransoms known to have been paid to DarkSide by other victims, such as 78.29 BTC sent by Brentag on May 11th. Okay, so if this wallet was used in another ransomware attack, then they had to have gotten the private key from someone at DarkSide. I don't see any other way. If any of you Bitcoin blockchain enthusiasts would like to give a technical stab at this, I'd be very interested, in y'all's feedback on this. They actually, there's whole careers being spun. Blockchain, they call them blockchain engineers, blockchain explorers. Their whole job is to maybe build software that can somewhat do something like this, like do comparisons and transaction screening. It's very interesting what blockchain is leading to. And a couple years ago, I think many could tell that this was going to become a pretty booming thing, because blockchain is so much bigger than Bitcoin. It's not, Bitcoin is not the only purpose for blockchain, but that's a whole nother conversation. But it looks like there's been a couple of different transactions that have taken place on this wallet from other attacks. So my question is, who at DarkSide flipped? Like, seriously. They use, so Elliptic says, we can also use blockchain analysis, right, to follow the money trail and determine where DarkSide is sending its ransomware proceeds, either to launder them or convert them to cash. And of course, they're going to try the quickest way to get their money off that blockchain. And I've heard of tumbling, I've heard of all these different methods, but yeah, of course, they're going to do everything they can to revert that crypto to some sort of USD. But there has been speculation that the Bitcoins were seized by the government, which we know is true. If that is the case, they didn't actually seize most of Colonial Pipeline's ransom payment. The majority of that was moved out of the wallet on May the 9th. But by tracing previous outflows from the wallet, we can gain insight into how DarkSide and its affiliates were laundering their previous proceeds. And what we find is that 18% of the Bitcoin was sent to a small group of exchanges. Coinbase would be considered an exchange. Kraken would be considered an exchange. I don't know, is Kraken even still up anymore? This information will provide law enforcement with critical leads, right? That's what they say. And this is their report. So this is Elliptic. This is their report. An additional 4% has been sent to Hydra, the world's largest darknet marketplace. It's like Amazon, but on the darknet. It services customers in Russia and neighboring countries. Isn't that interesting? As we've revealed in previous research, Hydra offers cash out services alongside narcotics, hacking tools, and fake IDs. These allow Bitcoin to be converted into gift vouchers, prepaid debit cards, or cash rubles. Isn't that interesting? And if you even look at the code of the actual malware itself and what it's doing on the machine, we already could tell from the code that this is probably origin is probably Russia. Like the fact that they say to themselves, if you're a .argue, if this is a Russian operating system or not, if this is an operating system that's using the Russian localized language, then stop. Don't go any further. And so that absolutely matches up with what we're even seeing in the ransomware code. If you're a Russian cyber criminal and you want to cash out your crypto, then Hydra is an attractive option. My question would be to the US government, since they want to try to do a seizure of some Bitcoin like that, which has stunned a lot of people out here, like, damn, because that makes a lot of people feel a little bit uncomfortable. Because not even a little bit, a lot. Because it's kind of, well, can they seize mine? But they are actually, so that's the other thing. So there, it looks like they're building even software that will alert if a deposit's made to that address again, to that wallet. So now they can monitor future transactions on the blockchain. They can ensure that DarkSide and other ransomware operators cannot cash out or exchange their Bitcoin proceeds. My thing is this: why isn't us American techies? Why are we not? Why don't we have a little group of hackers that can absolutely get in and see what the hell's going on? I mean, surely you could VPN to somewhere in Russia and make your address look like it's coming from Russia. Like, why hasn't any of our people did some sort of like undercover operation to get in there? Sure, okay, yeah, that's great. They've heard of all this stuff, but just like my experience with them, is they're so much behind the private companies out here. But maybe I hope they're using some people that know what they're doing. It's just crazy that Russia is so blatantly doing this stuff, just so blatantly. They don't. It's like it's okay. It's okay to be a hacker and live in Russia. I mean, I sometimes wonder. I'm not even going to say the name out loud, but the guy that went on the run after he told, state secrets, NSA secrets, CIA secrets, and all that type of stuff. And he ended up in Russia, Snowden. I always thought that was interesting. Um, so yeah, this stuff's kind of scary because it means that the FBI could access. Don't let yourselves like get confused. Like, it's not this easy typically for the FBI to access people's cryptocurrency in their wallets and just seize it like that. It's really quite unheard of. And again, like, the speculation is real minimal as well. There's only a couple of different possibilities just because of how the blockchain works. And at the end of the day, either DarkSide gave the private key over or they unintentionally gave the private key over. I don't see what other way, especially if these wallets were used, or this wallet was used in other transactions and other ransomware attacks. It's crazy. So I heard overnight that DarkSide, like, they were seizing all sorts of stuff. Hold on just a sec. Yeah. So apparently the DarkSide ransomware affiliate program, The same program that caused a 6-day outage at Colonial Pipeline that led to fuel shortages and price spikes is running for the hills. The crime gang announced it was closing up shop after its servers were seized and someone drained the cryptocurrency from an account the group uses to pay affiliates. I mean, it's crazy that they can even put this up, and it's giving people that hit this endpoint um a message, letting the people know that they're closing. It's wild, man. That means they're not scared. They're not scared at all. They are working openly. They probably get up every morning and they're like, "What do you do when you go to work?" "I am a hacker. I work with, Vladimir and such and Olga. We all work on the ransomware." I mean, oh my gosh. I'm telling you, I could just imagine. It's probably like a whole warehouse building of people that meet up 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And of course, they're going to have a couple weekend hours. Never let that money. They don't turn this into a whole business. I want to know who's the oligarch of cryptocurrency in Russia, who has made their most money using crypto. Who's that oligarch? So they're saying servers were seized. Country is not going to be, this is, country is not going to be named. Money of advertisers and founders was transferred to an unknown account. Ransom topics will be removed from the forums. Now, keep in mind that this was posted to the Russian OSI Telegram channel. I know, like hackers and techie and weird people, like they always use weird stuff like that, don't they? Reddit, Telegram. In connection with the recent events in the USA, sorry for being straightforward, DarkSide Ransomware, a quote from the previously named PP, since the first version, we promised to speak honestly and openly about the problems. A few hours ago, we lost access to the public part of our infrastructure, namely the blog, the payment server, and the DOS servers. Now these servers are unavailable via SSH. The hosting panels are blocked. Hosting support, apart from information at the oh wow. So they were hosting some servers in the United States. So there is a data center out there somewhere that had a rude awakening on whatever day this happened. I didn't hear about it, but there's a data center somewhere. And I mean, so basically when they say unavailable via SSH, that's the typical like network protocol they're coming over, and then the hosting panels are blocked. That just sort of tells me like, the endpoint they're hitting is blocked for whatever reason. It could have been a variety of reasons why that was happening, but it sort of like tells me that I don't know who the FBI is got in trouble or who they're sitting down with tonight or who they're talking to regarding this, but it just seems like at the end of the day, whoever really is at the root of this, I mean, it doesn't even seem like they care. Look at this. It's crazy that they even feel this comfortable to post this. Now, a few hours ago, we lost access to the public part of our infrastructure, explaining the outage affected its victim shaming blog, where stolen data is published from its victims who refuse to pay the ransom. Thank God they got that server, though. That's so wrong. That's so mean. So they don't pay. They actually, and that was the thing we looked at yesterday, like in their ransomware package that they sell to people, they guarantee that they will delete your data after, what is it? They will put your data on some server or something like that for 6 months to punish you if you don't give them the money they're asking for. And they say that typically people settle for an extreme amount less than what their initial asking price is. But what's scary is that these people are doing like financial reconnaissance on these companies. They're actually strategically selecting companies based on their financial, so you know what I mean? Like they are taking their absolute time. The fact, oh my gosh. Thank God for security engineers. We really appreciate you guys. We do. Um, the rebel representative, I find it so interesting in the way that they even interact with each other and what they say. Like, um, they even they're even saying DarkSide organizers also said that they were releasing decryption tools for all of the companies that had been ransomed, but which haven't yet paid. That's that's actually a good thing. After that, you will be free to communicate with them whenever you want in any way you want. Oh, no, that's not a good thing. Okay. So they're basically oh shit. Okay. So basically there's these companies that they've taken ransom, right? And for each company or organization or whatever, they've got a tool set. So are they saying here that they're going to like drop this information out on the internet and you're just going to let people say, ugh, that kind of makes me feel like they're just going to let the like public feed on these ransomware attacks. I don't know. It strikes me how they always want to be honest. The rebel representative said its program was introducing new restrictions on the kinds of organizations that affiliates could hold for ransom, and that henceforth it would be forbidden to attack those in the social sector, defined as healthcare and educational institutions. Now, that is really scary because there's been hospitals that have been attacked with ransomware. And they're basically saying that they're putting in a rule that it will be forbidden to do that. Well, I'm really glad because we don't need computers being locked up or data escaping and things like that when there's people's lives literally depending on it because they wouldn't like it. And I guess the point I was making earlier is why in the hell has the United States not put together a group of people that can provide some intelligence and just hands-on experience with this shit? Yeah, they got to be just as good with ransomware as the Russians do. Meaning they're going to need to build a sandbox environment, test in it, just install the ransomware as a test, see what all it does, right? And there's some that are doing that, but I'm talking about, is there any rules to how we fight back? I mean, if they hack us, we should hack them, right? Like, is that something that anyone has ever like explored as some sort of like legal? I mean, would that even be legally allowed though? Because if it's a whole nother country, would that hackback type of mentality be really a legit option? I don't think it would make them stop. But it would make people better at, understanding this stuff when it happens, though. So they say they're not going to attack healthcare or educational systems. That's great. And organizations in the gov sector of any country. Affiliates also will be required to get approval before infecting victims. So they're going to have like a system where they're going to have to get approval before they do a ransomware attack. I guess it's kind of like their way of getting the heat off of them too. If they're making all these concessions, why are they making all these concessions? They don't really have to, But there has been a lot of heat with this Colonial Pipeline situation, and maybe it's just been just enough where it's got them kind of feeling a certain way. I bet they're kind of struck too, though, that the FBI recovered that Bitcoin too. They're probably just as shocked as the next man. There's too much publicity. Boom. Damn, I was just saying that. Look, there's too much publicity. The administrator explained ransomware has gathered a critical mass of nonsense, bullshit, hype, and fuss around it. The word ransomware has been put on a par with a number of unpleasant phenomena, such as geopolitical tensions, extortion, and government-backed hacks. This word has become dangerous and toxic. Wow. So you don't want us to call it ransomware. So whoever this is telling us that the reason why they're making these concessions is there's just too much publicity. So I'm just like, whatever. And so government-backed hacks would be considered what Russia does, right? In a blog post on the DarkSide Closure Cyber Intelligence, oh, well, we read that yesterday. Ransomware operators are trying to retreat from the spotlight more than suddenly discovering the error of their ways. Yeah. A number of the operators will most likely operate in their own close-knit groups, resurfacing under new names and updated ransomware variants. Additionally, the operators will have to find a new way to watch the cryptocurrency they earn from ransoms. Intel 471 has observed that BitMix, tumbling service, a popular crypto mixing service, such as Avadin, DarkSide, and Revel, has allegedly ceased operations. So that would kind of lend us to believe that maybe all three of those are like probably operated in some way by the same people. Several apparent customers of the service reported they were unable to access BitMix in the last week. Hmm. Well, I see what it was. It was an organized mission to buy Bitcoins. Whales need Bitcoins to start the new pump. Oh my gosh. The way that they pushed this up to $63,000, you know, it's crazy. Or 64 was the peak, I believe, with some of these. To see like before when it was that, all the fever pitch around Bitcoin, it was like going from like in the 18, then it hit 19K, and then it had to take a breather, dropped as low as like $5,000, $6,000, and then now for it to roar back to 64, it only tells me that the whales have got like super, and the traders also have got super smart about their pump and dump activities, because that's exactly what they do. They pump and they dump, and they make money when it goes up, and they make money when it goes down. Hold on, guys. I'm looking at your comments, Intel. I'm just now looking at the comments. Sorry. Oh, no. Are you serious? Oh, Intel, I cannot believe that. I am so sorry. I'll reach out. Oh, that's just so horrible. Mm. Well, this whole Bitcoin situation is crazy. But the Justice Department is quite proud of themselves. FireEye, let's take a look at, sometimes in these situations, like threat research is really an interesting read, honestly. I wonder. Hold on a second. Let me see something. Look at these. Look at this chart of DarkSide's attacks on people. So their attacks have increased overall since August 2020, with the exception of a significant dip in the number of victims named during January 2021. It is plausible that the decline in January was due to threat actors using DarkSide taking a break during the holiday season. The overall growth in the number of victims demonstrates the increasing use of the DarkSide ransomware by multiple affiliates. You know, I'm going to build like a sandbox, and I think it would be actually kind of fun to test this stuff and just to kind of, how would you clean it? Like, what would you do if your machine got infected? I mean, it's only then that some people start becoming familiar with antivirus and stuff. When really they should know how to scan their machine before that something like that happens. But it's just some of these screenshots is again, this is RAS. It's ransomware as a service. So basically, they are hosting the software that you need to do the ransomware attack. It's absolutely incredible. I didn't realize how sophisticated that they were until I started hearing about how the code is. I was like, what? So it looks like something like this. It's a tool that you can actually log into and use it for your attack. And this is all this is FireEye. They're a security provider, but they did like a threat report on this, interesting ransomware attack. And I just find like the screenshots very interesting because this is the options that they have in the software. Encrypt mode is set to fast. Do you want to force encrypt? Yes. Um, do you want to encrypt the local disk? So it's actually encrypting the actual disk itself. Encrypt its network share. So then it's going to start reaching out over the network. Wow. Self-destruct is set to no by default. Hold on just a sec. Let's see. Yeah, there's all sorts of like, we talked about this yesterday, like the different files and different things it does. It even has intelligence built in to like go back and uninstall this, and it gets very interesting. So anyway, this is just a really interesting example on how Bitcoin. I mean, I really would love to hear the technical details behind how they managed to recover, you know, $2+ million. Either someone gave them the private key or someone gave them the private key unintentionally. That's how I look at it. But I mean, it's just crazy. And this is like FireEye's breaking down what the malware is actually doing on these servers. And it looks like they even created some rules that can be used on production systems, like blocking rules, I guess, for their FireEye product. Wow. Just a sec. The death of ransomware.
The Justice Department was able to recover $2.3 million in ransom paid by Colonial Pipeline to Russia-based DarkSide, about half the full amount. Still, though, the federal government is warning businesses to be on high alert and to take extra precaution.
Today, we turned the tables on DarkSide.
A new task force scoring a big win against ransomware hackers.
We deprived a cybercriminal enterprise of the object of their activity, their financial proceeds and funding.
The hack shut down pipeline operations for 6 days, leading to panic buying and gas shortages up and down the East Coast. Colonial ultimately paid $4.3 million. The Justice Department recovering the equivalent of $2.3 million in Bitcoin. The FBI using the criminal gang's private key to access their cryptocurrency wallet.
This is a first, as far as I know. How they did it.
These attacks becoming more and more common. The nation's largest meat supplier, JBS, targeted just last week. And the SolarWinds attack on U.S. government entities, highlighting vulnerabilities and Russia's involvement. The Biden administration is warning businesses to act now to protect themselves.
Pay attention now. Invest resources now. Failure to do so could be the difference between being secure now.
Well, I appreciate her message, but let me tell y'all something. Let me show y'all something really quick. Hold on. Okay, boom. Let's pause. Isn't it crazy how newscasters are doing live feeds from their kitchens and shit? Isn't that something? I would only say to this lady, I mean, God, you're doing a story on DarkSide, but yet I'm looking into your kitchen and I'm looking at personal photos. Like it's just too much. It's too much. You're just putting too much out there for her own security. She shouldn't do that. Just, But even that one guy was stumped at how they did it. And too, I thought, wow, when I seen this photo here, I remember when I went down to the Bahamas a year or two ago, whenever that was, and all those, how the Bahamas they've got a ton of these type of buildings down there. Tropical paradise, but I don't know what all they hold in those particular tanks, but I just remember that. It was a sight for sore eyes. But anyway, that's all, guys. Just really, I should have made this like a screwed and chopped, but I'll reach out to you, Centel, and I hope you or at least not having to be at work right now. So, but I'm off of here, you guys. I'm about to go take care of some stuff. I will see y'all pretty soon, and I will include, for those who may be interested, in the more details regarding the wallet itself. Here's the address that you can go to if you want to look at the transactions on that Bitcoin that went in and out of that wallet, the ones that the Fed somehow managed to get into. All right, guys,